Welcome to the Beats WonderCon 2023 coverage, sponsored by Bad Idea Comics. So, I think people generally know the DC Comics characters, even if they don't read comics. But I'm curious, what were your familiarity with the Ruby franchise before this project?
Ooh, for me,
I
I had heard of it, absolutely, but I hadn't watched any of it. So when I got cast, I immediately was like, okay, what is this? What is this? And I spent a lot of time going down that rabbit hole and thought it was just really, really fantastic.
Yeah, I had heard of it before, and then I was like, oh, I know Ruby. So it was exciting to finally be a part of it.
Very similar with me, but I have a lot of friends who are obsessed with it. So I think that like the Wonder Woman aspect was cool, and then the moment that I said it was Ruby, they were like, "Oh my God, this is insane!" So I've like definitely gained some like cool points in the friend group.
I did not know about it at all, but now I do, and it's great.
So, David, your career has been on an incredible rise the last few years. Congrats on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you.
Yes, clap. So I'm curious. So some of your major roles, you got to play Ferb, Ridley Jones, deadly hilarious. I'm curious.
Thank you very much.
I'm curious what it's like to play the Flash, such an iconic character.
So I'm a big comic book nerd. Like I've always been a huge fan of like superheroes and everything like that. And honestly, when the Flash television series came out, the live action with Grant Gustin, not the old one, which was John Wesley Shipp, right? And I loved that one too. But when the new one came out, I was like, this is what superhero television should be. So falling in love with that series and then getting to play Barry Allen these years later has been like the coolest ride. Like I've bought myself pop figures, I've bought magnets for my fridge. My dog has a Flash food bowl now because of how excited I was about playing this role.
So Jeannie, Jessica Cruz, she's a relatively new character introduced about 10 years ago, but despite that, she has an incredible fan base. I think a lot of people gravitate to her not only because of her Hispanic heritage, but also the mental health issues it deals with. I've gotten to interview and actually befriend some of the voice actresses for Jessica Cruz, like Christina Malizia and Marina Velasco, and they really, that aspect of the character resonated with them incredibly. I don't know how much that is involved in this project, but I'm curious if that's something that resonated for you or you pulled in as an actor.
Yeah, it's funny. Just before this, I was talking to Megan, the writer, about how that changed her character, and it really flavors this entire movie, and it was very interesting to do. I played Hispanic characters before because I am Hispanic, but I haven't played, a character who has a panic attack before. So it was so good to portray and just like sink your teeth into, and there's no real wrong way to do it as long as it's authentic. And I think that's very important to show too, because it does come out in different ways with different people, and to see like a superhero go through that. Even superheroes deal with anxiety, and that was such a good thing to portray. I loved getting to portray that.
So, Natalie, you've worked on comic book projects in the past, mostly live action, but this is your first major voiceover role, and it's for such an iconic character, Wonder Woman. What's it like for this to be your first big voiceover project?
Oh my God. So my agent called me and they pretty much just said that they're interested in you. Is this something that you'd be interested in doing? And I was like, okay, what is it? Like, I haven't done voiceover, so it was kind of scary because I'm just not trained in it. And they're like, it's Wonder Woman. I was like, oh shit. Okay, like that's cool. Yes, 100%. But it was definitely nerve-wracking going into it because I just wasn't sure exactly what the process was like. Because I have been in the comic book world for a while now, but it has been live action, and it's definitely difficult because you are creating this character only using your voice. Like, so often you're able to use facial expressions or kind of like use the story to progress exactly what's happening to kind of portray characters, especially in the superhero world, like their powers and stuff. Just using that live action is so much different, but it was definitely like in the studio, like pretty much Carrie saying, okay, now you just took down like a bunch of Grimm and you are on a motorcycle and you're doing this or this or this. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this necessarily sounds like, but let's just go for it. And it ended up being so much fun. It was such a good experience. I'm just so happy to be here.
True, you play Cyborg. I think pretty much every actor from now to the end of time will always be in the shadow of Kari Payton, everyone's favorite Cyborg. For you, how much did Kari's past performance influence you? But at the same time, how did you make this version of Cyborg your own as an actor?
I would say, yeah, with Kari's, it didn't inform anything because, I think, especially like she was saying, when you go into voice acting stuff, like you're just kind of creating this thing almost from scratch. And I think if you, at least for me, if I look at other people's performances of certain characters that I play or whatever, I might start to take from them. And, I just wanted to be authentic as possible. So, yeah, I just was kind of just me and just kind of did it that way and really just followed the lines that were on the paper and just did a voice, really.
Can I have your pipes? I want to sound like a dude a little more.
No, I want to sound like you. I want to be able to play like younger characters. It's hard for me to do.
So how was I've always interested in hearing, especially in the last few years, the lockdown remote recording process. How was it like for you all?
The general process was actually really smooth for me. I was very, very fortunate. My wife was like, I don't think this is going to be 2 weeks. So if you want to order a booth so that you can work, go for it. And so I hopped on the line with vocalbooth.com and got a 4x4 booth for my home, and I just worked through that year like crazy. This one, though, I don't know about you guys, I think all of this project was in studio for me. For me, yeah. I think, yeah.
But this is our first time meeting each other.
Yes.
Yeah, we've never met.
And that's totally normal because you have the director, the engineer, and then you in the booth. We don't work off of each other. They did, like, some of your lines were recorded before me, so they'd play it, and so you'd hear, like, a line leading into yours, but they're never in the same room
You're
as you.
teaching me this.
Yeah.
Just because this is my first time, but I wasn't sure if that was usually the process. So that's
Yeah,
very
if
cool.
someone's it's just if they happen to have recorded before you.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, it's not like we sit in the same room and like we're doing it as like a red play. It's just some people record on this day, other people record on that day. Sometimes they're in different states, and the way they're able to piece it together is really, really cool because it sounds like people are actually having conversations with each other when they're not.
So sad. I'm so sad because I like working with people.
Me too. Yeah.
Guys, it's been great chatting with you. I can't wait to see part 1 and hopefully part 2.
Woo!
Thanks again to our sponsor, Bad Idea Comics.